We'll be back in the forthcoming week or so, Sammy, but time will tell on that, of course.
Yeah.
And in the meantime, it's just Virgil as a senior recognised centre half.
Yeah, exactly. And there's no game book for that. You know, for people who have had, you know, sadly people pass away in the family. But I think the biggest thing for me, as I say to you, in dominance, you know, we haven't put them to bed, and that was really concerning for me, because, as I said to you, you know, I was looking, the positives were so many from Marseille, so many, and I just, you know, once again, I just have to use the word frustration. And this wasn't a great Bournemouth side, you know. A lot of that came from our own mistakes, our own sloppy play, which gave them the impetus when they didn't need to have or deserve the impetus. It was us. It wasn't their great game plan that beat us tonight. Yeah. It was our sloppiness, and everything that went wrong today was about us. You know, it wasn't their great play. I don't believe so anyway. I feel it was just, you know, our taking too many touches, sloppy passing, poor game plan, as the guys were saying before, and then final ball and no shots on goal, and few shots on goal. It all leads for a very, very frustrating evening, and one that could have been and should have been a lot better.
Yeah, like their own worst enemy at times, weren't they?
We start looking at excuses, don't we, because we're being beaten, and you start thinking, well, why has that happened? I said before the game about the time, I don't think the Premier League help teams in the Champions League.
Playing midweek and then
less than 72 hours to prepare and recover from a big Champions League away game. This game should have been Sunday. Now we're looking at excuse. We've been beaten, so people will say, well, that's an excuse. I just don't think the Premier League help English teams in Europe away from home. Because for me, you should have at least 72 hours if you played an away game in Europe. We played Marseille, tough away game. This was under 70. So now it looks like we're making excuses. We only made one change to the starting lineup. Cody Gakpo coming in. I thought Ekitike looked sharp when he came off the bench, trying to impact things like Rio Ngamoa did. I
agree. All them things come into play. There's no doubt about that. But all I always say to you, Neil and Beck, is that for me, they didn't dominate us. No. It was our sloppy play. Yeah. It was our, which frustrates me even more, to your point, because as you so rightly say, we do tend to start looking at excuses. And you're right, we do need more time. Could have been on Sunday. You know, whatever that, but that's up to the powers that be to decide. But we weren't overpowered by them today. Yeah. It was our lack of discipline and our lack of game planning and our game management. Not game plan, that's wrong. Game management that gave them the impetus at times. Because as I say, when we got back to 2-2, go and get the winner. Okay, Edels may say take the draw. We can still go and get the winner, but just don't give them the opportunity to counter-attack us, and we did.
Okay, thanks lads. Let's head back down to the South Coast. We're going to get some reaction from the Vitality. Mark Benstead is with David James.
Thank you, Becky. We've come down pitch side here at the Vitality now that the crowds have made their way out of the ground. David James is back with me. David, we can reflect on what we've seen. Dramatic ending to proceedings once again, not for the first time this season for Liverpool. I think we'll start with that winning goal for Bournemouth. A lot of protests from Virgil and Ali at the end of the game. I think they felt there was a foul on it. Looking back, I couldn't see anything worthy of disallowing the goal, but I thought it was interesting that Ali was so incensed. Was that just the emotion of losing a late goal?
I think when you look at the build-up for the goal, it all adds into that emotion you're talking about. I mean, Petrovic has done a long throw. The ball's ended up going out on just behind us there on the left-hand side. They've had a long throw which has been half cleared for the throw that led to the goal. So there was a moment at, we're into the 95th minute, time's up. The referee's allowed the throw in, which I think is probably sensible. But then it's just a melee. And the ball's going all over the place, no control. Which allows for the goal to be scored. Yeah, the frustration of it being the last action of the game. I mean, literally the kick-off and the whistle goes.
Difficult conditions to try and defend that kind of position, but what could we have done better? Is it not concede it in the first place? Because obviously we're limited in terms of personnel at centre-half as well. We've got a slight weakness perhaps from those positions generally. What do we do that we can do better?
Well, I described it to you. It was like a cup tie at the end there. That last 10-15 minutes, it was just end-to-end. The way that Petrovic got the ball for the opportunity to throw it, I mean, it was a high ball into the box under no challenge, and I think because of the tempo of the game, that basically the team were looking at Petrovic to see what he's going to do, and it was 1v1 at the back. Gravenberg with I think it was Adley maybe who made the run to get the throw in. Once you do that, I mean, they were dangerous from throw-ins. We knew that because they've got that long throw capabilities. It's just, I don't know, I'd say the game had got to that point where it was like a cup tie, it was hectic, and that could have gone wide of the post. could have been a goal kick and the game would have been over at 2-2, and I think we would have said that was a fair result in the end, but unfortunately not.
I think that's about the fifth time in the Premier League we've conceded a goal, so 95th minute onwards, the likes of Fulham, the likes of Palace here again today. What can you do as a group to eradicate that? Is the simplest way to have killed the games off so there isn't that frantic end to the match in the first place, or is that just too simplistic?
Yeah, I think that's where you talk about the personnel change. I mean, even in today's game, players have been out. I mean, Endo comes on. Injuries to players. Joey Gomez, as we saw in the first half. I mean, all of a sudden, where you've had issues picking players, you've had players who haven't been playing regularly coming in, and that's where maybe the overall sort of picture of the game. It shouldn't really have got like a cup tie. You know, Liverpool had firm control of the game, I thought, and then all of a sudden it just went end to end. Anyone could have won it. Petrovic makes probably the save of the match. I know Ali made a top save.
And they didn't even give a corner for it.
They didn't even give a corner. That was 5 minutes before 85th minute. That goes against you. Rio comes on. Should have gone down. Not that you encourage players to look for penalties, but it was a firm enough challenge for him to go down and get a penalty. Instead, he stays on his feet. Nothing happens with it. There's moments in the game which you think if it was slightly different.
Well, I was going to ask you about that, because we had the one with Rio where he could have gone down. We had Mo's getting his shirt hauled back on this touchline down here. Didn't go down, and they break from that. Hugo Ekitike had one where he tried to stay on his feet, didn't get anything. Yeah. Is the argument, well, you have to go down now to get those?
No, I'm not advocating that they have to, but there's moments where they could, and it would be legitimate. I mean, Mo's the official's got to pick up the shirt pull.
Well, it's a yellow card, wasn't it?
But he didn't fall on the floor. I mean, that's the thing. And if he'd have fallen on the floor for a shirt pull, then I'd have said that I was looking for a free kick. Rio goes in, Ekitike goes into situations where they could fall over, and you admire them for not. But when you lose 3-2 with the last kick of the game, you think maybe that's the time that you should have fallen over, and it could have ended up 3-2 to Liverpool. So you can't complain about people being honest, but there are times where you think that a little less honesty might be beneficial.
Just finally, we should probably sort of focus on the kind of defining moments of the game, really. It was that ever so slight error from Virgil which leads to their first goal. When we had been so comfortable, you then lose a player through injury as well as a result of the aftermath of it. I just thought from a goalkeeper's point of view that the issue obviously with Ali, who's hit Joe, because they both tried to go for the ball. Is that just one of those things where two players doing what they have to do in that situation to try and defend their own goal line? Yeah, I mean, it's one of the unfortunate outcomes in situations like that. Ali did the right thing because he's not going to be looking at Joe coming in, he's got to be looking at the ball. Joe's done the right thing going trying to block the ball and possibly not looking at Ali. Interesting, I mean, even at 2-0 it didn't look great for Liverpool. As soon as they scored the goal, I was thinking about the Iraola, what he'd be saying at half time, because the fact that Liverpool scored so late in that first half meant that Liverpool had a chance of getting back into the game. Dom scores a fantastic free kick, and then you think that the only team that could win this is Liverpool, because they had the control, they had the opportunities around the box, not necessarily that many shots on target until Petrovic makes that wonderful save, which he doesn't get rewarded for, or Liverpool don't get rewarded for. Then it turns into a cup tie, and the momentum or the control that Liverpool had, I felt, was lost. It was shared. So really, even though it was 2-0 down, once Liverpool scored that first goal, I thought they had the chance to go on and win this game, and they would have deserved it had they been able to keep control of the tempo of the game rather than it turning into a cup tie. Just on that save by Petrovic, be honest, if you'd made a save as good as it was, a great save, brilliant,
fantastic
save. Do you make sure that they know you've done it, even though it gives away a corner? Because they didn't give anything for it.
No. Well, I'll tell you what, he ran off to the supporters after the game, celebrated. I mean, he has to celebrate because it was his throw that led to the throws which led to the winning goal. You don't mind not getting credit for the save. Interestingly, when it comes to the stats, I wonder what they'll put down as a stat, because there was a shot on target, but there was no save, technically, when it comes to the stats. But, you know, he did what he had to do today, and as I say, for Bournemouth, and it's a weird one, we all need Liverpool to win, of course. But Liverpool didn't need to win to challenge for a title. It was to stay in those Champions League places, which currently they are, depending on what happens with the results tomorrow. But Bournemouth needed this win more than Liverpool, and you could tell by the celebration. I mean, the one thing before the game, it was like a rock concert in here, and at the end of the game, it was like a nightclub. So for Bournemouth. It's going to be a very happy 3 points for Liverpool. It's going to be a very disappointing end to a game which I think they could have got away with a draw, possibly even won if they had a bit more control over it.
Yeah, big chances, big moments for both these teams, but it's Bournemouth who take the spoils. Frustrating day for the Reds down here on the south coast.